What's going on, guys and gals for the 4%, so 8 people, I guess. Today we will be installing the Driven Rearsets onto my Z because I have an issue when I'm downshifting from third to second. I actually kind of get in between and get into neutral for some reason. So I'm actually going to be setting it up with GP shift, and that'll hopefully fix my issues, and I won't be doing that while I'm racing. So I hope you enjoy the video. Now I'm just going to start off on the right side, so the brake side of the bike. We're going to take off these two 12mm. Get that out of the way. And then we're going to want to take the springs off. We'll figure all this out later. And then we're going to twist it around, and then we're going to grab a needle nose pliers and take off that cotter pin real quick. And with those springs being removed, we're actually going to show you a little trick on how to still allow your rear taillight to illuminate when you hit your rear brake. So make sure to stick around for that. And this is another reason why I'm going with the Driven Rearsets, is because I can pretty much put the peg wherever I want it and kind of cock it at different angles, whichever way I want. But the only thing that sucks is these do not fold up. So I'm gonna do a little something that I have heard on the forums works, and we'll do that at the end of the video. So with this, it is a lot of trial and error on which way feels most comfortable for you. I'm gonna start off in the rear section in the middle and see how I like that once I put it all back together. And I might end up putting it all the way at the top just to see how I like it, or just pretty much moving it around to the different locations and see which one I like best. So it is going to be a lot of putting it on the bike, testing how I like it, taking it off, and maybe adjusting it. And for reassembly, it's going to be the same as how we took it apart. Kind of stick the rear brake pin arm thing in there, shove that through there, and then on the back side you're going to have your, I'm going to just turn it around, I forgot about that. Spin it around, and you're just going to put a new or reuse this same cotter pin. This, I'm just going to reuse the same cotter pin for now. Now we got that in, we're just going to use the supplied Allen key or Allen bolts and put those in. I'm not using Loctite just yet, just because I know I'm going to be taking it on and off to get this peg moved around in the right location. That was really simple. I gotta say, with that Dinger built exhaust on there, it just ties this thing all together. Like, damn, does that look good. Unfortunately, that exhaust is actually gonna be going away shortly. And I was gonna wait until the end to test it out, but don't try this at home, kids. Ugh. Alrighty. Whew. Alright, it's definitely up a little bit higher. And it's hard to tell with these shoes on, because yeah, it's probably not the best option, but I'll make sure to give everything a test when I put my boots on. But damn, does that feel good. And it grips my shoe finally. I had that issue where my boots used to slide off the stock pegs. And so you see this little spring right here? This is what activates your rear tail light. And since you don't have anywhere to hook it up, I mean, you could safety wire it to something, but it's just not that accurate. So what I'm going to be doing is installing this brake pressure switch, and all you have to do is remove that banjo bolt, put that in its place, and then, that's probably not good that I dropped it, and then you run the wires up behind and plug it on into where the wires for the stock, I guess brake switch, whatever we'll call it, plugs in. So jumping over to the other side, you can kind of see the culprit to why there are a lot of missed shifts with these mini bikes. There's just a lot of play in this, back and forth, up and down. These joints are just not solid. So if you're trying to jam those gears and you just don't put enough pressure, too much, you're gonna get a lot of slop, and missed shifts are bound to happen. So we're gonna replace it with the Heim joint on the Driven Rearsets. Makes life a little bit easier, and it's just a solid engagement. So we're going to jump into that. To save some time trying to figure out where you need to put shifter because it can adjust up and down with the new rear sets. You want to kind of get yourself a measurement just from the floor to your rear set. Mine's about 12.5 inches up. So that gives me an estimate of where I want to put the shifter with the heim joint later on once I'm done. And like before, we're just going to remove these two 12 millimeters. Whoop. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and remove this 10 on the shifter. You can also take this boot off here and take the cotter pin out, but I'm just going to take the whole linkage off right now. So before we get to installing this, I just want to point out that you are going to want to make sure that this eyelet for the heim joint is actually on the back side. I ended up like trying to put everything together to test everything out and ran into issues. And I looked at a couple photos and videos and stuff, and everyone else's was on the back side. So just double check yours before you install it so you don't run into issues like I did. So before you go ahead and put that on, you want to make sure that you put the spacer in there. I'll put that in there now. And we're just going to put these in there loosely for now. So before you actually get everything put together, you are going to want to decide if you're going to run GP shift or regular shift. The top will be for GP shift, and then the bottom will be for regular shifting. So wherein you are deciding where you are going to put the linkage that goes on the actual shift shaft thing, you are going to want to kind of mess around with it. And what you're trying to do is find the location to where you can make this and this make a 90 degree, and as well as the bottom one. So I'm just gonna mess around with it a little bit and try to find that right location to where that, and then if I need to adjust that up, I can just turn that or down. What you're trying to do is make sure that that is as close to 90 degrees as possible. And then to make sure it's all good, you're gonna put the cap head screw through, put the nut on the back, and we're gonna tighten everything down. And like that, everything is done. So down is now to shift up, and then shifting up is actually gonna go down a gear. So it's gonna take some time to get used to, and hopefully I don't blow up my motor, because that is kind of a possibility if I accidentally go to upshift into third or fourth or whatever, and I accidentally shift up to go up, and then I kaboom into second gear, whatever. Hopefully I don't do it. I'm sure it'll take some time, and after riding around the city, I might end up switching out. I guess we'll find out in a moto vlog. And another nice thing about this is you can actually move the toe peg into the different slots depending on where you like it. So for like kids and stuff that are racing these, they can move it up so that their feet can reach the toe shift lever thingy. And if I wreck, I can replace the little toe piece, which I think is like 25 bucks, and the pegs are the little expensive part. So I'll show you a little something that I have up my sleeve to hopefully protect myself so I don't have to keep replacing these, because these are like 30 some bucks a piece. So what I got here is a 3D printed slider that fits up inside the peg to kind of hopefully reinforce it if I go down. And all it does is it goes up inside, and you might need to use a little persuasion to get up in there. So that is what goes into there, and then you have two holes at the top that you can run safety wire around, and will hold it in place. And going back to this, I finally got it all wired up, and here is that sensor switch thing, pressure switch on that spring. All I did was cut the connector off of it there, and then wired it up to the, right there. Wired it up in there, and then ran the wires up behind and plugged it in, and it works perfectly. Well guys, that pretty much wraps it up. And man, am I excited to finally put these things on, because damn are they sexy. and just like shifting through the gears, like even just like this, it's like a solid engagement. So it's definitely worth the investment. I know it is kind of pricey, and there are a couple of downfalls with these things. Like my main things is that these don't bend up, and so if you fall, pretty much gonna have to replace the peg because they either bend or just snap in half. So that 6mm Allen key is gonna be your best friend to quickly take these apart and get that peg off and switched out and get you back on track. Another downside is the fact that figured out the last reason I don't like them as much is these things are sharp. So normally you hit it with your ankle and it's not too bad. Yeah, it hurts, but these things dig into your ankle and there's no give. So if you knock yourself with it, you're gonna have a bruise. So other than that, I am really excited to finally be able to try these out and get you a review probably in an upcoming moto vlog. So make sure to stick around for that. And if you want to check these out, I will leave a link to them down in the description. And if you want to get a set of these sliders from me, hit me up on Instagram and we'll work something out on how I can get you a set of these. So if you have any other questions, leave them in the comment section down below, and we'll see you next time.